Hi guys, this is my Ford Focus project. It's got a Lexus V8 in it. Should be fun. So I guess the first question you want to know the answer to is why? Well, my answer is why not? And because I can. The project itself is a Ford Focus ST170 with a Lexus LS400 4-litre V8 in it. Of course, that means changing the Focus from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, which is part of the challenge. The engine fits fairly easily. Okay, let's start from the start. First things first, I bought the Lexus. That was after a very successful night on eBay. Generally these go for about £1,500 and I only paid £400 for this beast. It had one minor problem. That minor problem was something to do with the brakes. I never worked it out in the end. But whenever you press the brakes, the car would shake violently and it really would rattle your teeth out. It's quite scary on the 180 odd mile trip home. The good news is there was nothing wrong with the engine, so I set about pulling that out as soon as I could. The car now sits outside feeling sorry for itself. The only use it has now is it's a shed for my previous projects. I am breaking it if anybody's interested in parts, but if I need the bits, I have them first. So, onto the Focus. Bought this off Gumtree. It was in the valleys of South Wales, so it wasn't too far away from me. It was cheap and it fit the bill. I parked it up on the drive for a few weeks. My better half wasn't too pleased with that. Coming home from work for the second time in a couple of weeks and I've got a new car. Anyway, it didn't take long for me to chuck it in the garage, put it up on axle stands, and me and my mate ripped the engine out. And then I couldn't help myself, so I put the V8 in front of the Focus to see what sort of room I had. And eventually took the front end off so I could try it in the engine bay. With the engine roughly where it needed to be inside the car, I knew I had to cut a lot of the tunnel out. So the next job was to pull the dash out. Sorry about the poor filming here, it was my first attempt. The dash came out fairly easy. It did fight me a little bit with the airbag, but I got there in the end. With the dash out, I could cut holes in the floor. There's so many holes in the floor of this car. As you can see, the gearbox now sat above the very lower line of the chassis rails of the car. So as far as I'm concerned, that's in. The next thing in the way, as you can tell, I'm going on a bit of a cutting spree here, was the subframe. So I had to split this in half and get rid of the middle. I braced the front and the back and just cut the middle out. And that allowed me to put it back in the car when the engine was there. As you can see in the pictures, the engine sits fairly low and the subframe would have to fit in between this. Now that I knew everything would fit, I decided it was time to mount this engine at least temporarily in place. I started by making a brace that went across from chassis rail to chassis rail on the Focus. And then because my Lexus engine mounts were goosed, I bought some Land Rover rubber mounts and fabricated some bracketry to hold the engine in place. Now that the front was mounted, I decided to tackle the rear and make sure that could stay in place. So again, went to work, got some metal out, got the welder out, made something. It looks like this. A few eagle-eyed viewers may find that that's not the right gearbox, but I'll cover that in another video too. Bottom line for now is the engine is in place. It's sat in the car on its engine mounts and it just needs to be plugged in to start up. You've got to admit, that looks pretty damn cool. Ready for some skids. So that's it for this episode. Next episode, hopefully I'll get on with some work that I can show you and you can come on this journey with me. See you next time.